Anyway, coming up, a great conversation with Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Great conversation with Aiden Hutchinson.
Right.
Great conversation with George Kittle.
Right.
Great conversation with Michael Parsons, and great conversation with Brian Williams. And we appreciate very much
that they come
the
and they don't
willingness of
cancel
folks
on us
to show up, to cancel on a timely basis if they can't make it, to not be petty at all and get in a position where personal biases get in the way of what may be in the client's best interest. Because I would say that for any player in the NFL, and this is nothing against any other show that's out there, because there are great shows out there, great networks, great hosts, but you and I have developed a chemistry between us that translates to when we bring a third person on, we have a fun conversation, a real conversation, and the guest is comfortable saying something that doesn't hurt the guest.
Right.
Because I think what happens is people get caught up in cliches because they're afraid they're going to say something that hurts them. They say something meaningful that doesn't hurt them because we're not trying to set them up to say something that's against their interests. We're trying to show empathy, compassion, humanity, and get away from the robots we see in uniform. And it's hard not to look at these guys as cyborgs out on the field with all the gear. And when you see them walk by before a game, it's intimidating. Here, they look like us. They're dressed like us, some better than others, some better than us, most better than us. But it gives them a chance to have a real conversation, and we appreciate that. And we appreciate the folks that make their clients available, the players who show up, and the folks who, don't cancel, as the
2
interview's
minutes
supposed
before
to
it starts. Right, that's some BS. Right. Kind of a high-level quarterback that did that to us in their camp, and we won't go into the names.
That's okay.
We won't go into names.
I'm the one that let you down that bad.
We had fun. We're good. And we're having a blast right now. And then, we got plenty of stuff to talk about anyways. And we had great interviews, so who gives a damn? Let's go on and let's be happy.
All right, so, awards hand.
Yesterday was Tua Tagovailoa's big Super Bowl media day. He was scheduled to make quite a few stops. He made a couple, but he canceled a couple others. Two of those that he canceled were high-profile media outlets. He canceled an interview with Pat McAfee and his crew, and he canceled another interview with Mike Florio and Chris Sims of NBC Sports. Why would he cancel Pat McAfee? Pat McAfee and his crew would not have gone hard after Tua. I can understand why he canceled the interview with Florio and Sims because they've been blasting him all year. Let me take that back. No, I don't understand why he canceled their interview. Here's why. If you weren't gonna sit with Florio and Sims, why accept the invite in the first place? And if you're gonna cancel, why wait until right before the interview to do so? In addition to the video you just saw, Florio's team put out this obvious subtweet to the Tua camp. They allude to the fact that Tua wanted a scripted interview. If that's the case, then that would have been agreed to way before the day of show. I've interviewed a lot of people over the years, some of the biggest names in finance when I did my real estate show. Some did want the questions in advance and some were willing to wing it. In 3 years of interviews, we only had 2 cancellations and neither were day of show. Perhaps it was the outrageous Dan Le Retard show that chased him off. They asked him some really lowbrow and somewhat offensive questions. And I think it was unprofessional of them to even ask some of those questions. They were Howard Stern-like offensive. But again, that goes back to Tua's PR team. Did they not know the type of show that those guys produce with Stugotz every single day? Tua handled that interview the best that he could, but there's no excuse for what they did. It was a total lack of respect, and after that Stugotz debacle, we were left with pretty much nothing. The rest of Tua's appearances that he kept were about his little baby, Subway sandwiches, and Tuanon. Seriously, that was it. I watched every single interview that he did. So you don't have to. Here's the one he did with Kay Adams.
You have a new baby.
Yeah.
Congratulations. How is that?
Thank you.
Tell us.
It's the best thing. It's the best thing in the world. I know you can relate.
Changes your lens on how you see the world.
Changes your lens on everything. And I would say for me, most importantly, how you talk to people, how you treat people, how you look at other kids too now. Just life through a different lens is life becomes enhanced, I would say.
That's so beautiful. I have to ask you though, because of that, and then the health stuff, right? Several concussions.
Yep.
How do you look at that differently now, being a dad, removed from the season and like the craziness of it? Does it make you want to step back a little bit?
Well, no, I don't think it makes me want to, or it forces me to be afraid of wanting to come back and play. It definitely makes me want to do things to help myself, you know, by hopefully, you know, not being in those positions next year. So, you know, we got like a plan set up, and I'll be doing judo on Fridays just so that I can kind of figure out, you know, like understanding my body and how to fall and
wait, that's what judo does?
You're about to be more dangerous than ever, man.
Oh man, not trying to be a dangerous person in that way. Just trying to help
understand
help
the
myself
body and movement. Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
That's pretty much the highlight of Tua's day. That's what we were all waiting for. We all wanted to hear about the baby, Tuanon, and Subway sandwiches. No, that's not what we were looking for. Over the last week, there have been tons of interviews from players from across the league, and I think a lot of people were eager to see Tua's appearances. But unfortunately, for the most part, they were quite anticlimactic. So that's it. Nothing more to report other than people on Twitter not understanding the marketing debacle that it was, high-fiving each other because he, you know, canceled on Florio and Sims. From a marketing perspective, this may not be the thing he wanted to see happen. I even had one guy on Twitter telling me that Tua doesn't need to do any marketing or advertising. I guess he missed the interviews. He said that while Tua was marketing and advertising, he was being a spokesperson for Subway sandwiches. That's how oblivious some of these people are. If you think that marketing and advertising don't matter, ask Megan Rapinoe how that worked out. I just don't get it. My concern with all of this has people calling me a hater right now and a turncoat. I don't understand what you people are talking about. I don't worship at the altar of Tua. I'm a fan of his. I'm a fan of the Miami Dolphins, but it doesn't mean that everything Tua does is 100% correct. I haven't turned my back on him. This was a mistake. You know, there's an old story. Baseball players, when they have a bad game, especially pitchers is what I'm talking about, they can wait 3 or 4 days and they're back in rotation and they're pitching again. Tua has to go through 7 months of media scrutiny before the next game. 7 months. I would seek to capitalize on every single media opportunity I possibly could and make sure they came off without a hitch. But instead, he goes on a show where people make fun of him. Instead, he goes on a show that they're making offensive jokes and remarks. And then, as a result, he cancels 2 major media outlets. So while I'm sure there's a lot of people out there, I've seen them all on Twitter high-fiving each other, that Tua canceled the interview with Mike Florio and Chris Sims. But that's NBC Sports. These guys all talk. I really hope that this doesn't come back to bite Tua in the rear end for the next 7 months before the season even opens. We'll see. We'll see for sure, but it doesn't bode well. I already know I'm going to get flamed because I dare to speak against anything Tua. If you're not 100% for Tua, if you're even like 92, these people go nuts. So let me know what you think and bring it. Love to hear what you have to say in the comments. Talk to you soon. And yes, fins up.
Is anybody catching on to this Barry guy?